to a new video, and this is part 2 on a 4-part series about me talking about my trip to Africa. So back in 2020-2021 I went for 157 days to Africa, to Tanzania mainland, to Zanzibar, to South Africa, and then I went to Namibia. And in this series I will talk about my trip in each country, because when I went there I was really curious about how it would be there, and I couldn't find anything. So this is the video to other people who might also want to travel to Africa. And in this video I'll talk about Zanzibar. So in the last video I talked about Tanzania, the mainland, and the voluntary work that I've done there on the school, and how it was to be in such a big cities and all of that stuff as a solo female traveler. And in this series I will talk about Zanzibar. So I came from such intense period, I feel like. For a month I didn't really see a lot of travelers, and I was mostly by myself. There were some other voluntary people, but yeah, not really travelers, just like me. And the whole situation was very different there. Like, homosexuality was illegal, and there was a lot of things revolving around the church, and it was a really intense period. So I was like, I want to go to Zanzibar now. I want to party. I need to party. I need to see other travelers. And if you go to Tanzania, if you buy the visa there, you can also use it for Zanzibar. So if you go to Zanzibar, you can go to Tanzania. And if you go to Tanzania, you can go to Zanzibar, because Zanzibar is part of Tanzania. And that's what a lot of people do as well. Just for like one holiday, 2-3 weeks to Tanzania, and then they do a safari in Arusha, and then you can go to Zanzibar and have a nice and relaxing holiday in Zanzibar with the beautiful beaches and everything. So I took the ferry to from Dar es Salaam to Stown, and I talked a little bit about this before, how people really tricked me there. So when I got off the ferry I was like, no, I need to say no. I need to be rude to people, because else my money is just going to be taken from me and they're tricking me. So I was like, no. And I was walking to my hostel, and I arrived in my hostel. I was like, okay, I made it. I made it to my hostel, and I stayed in the Lost and Found Zanzibar. It's called Lost and Found Zanzibar. And I stayed there for 3 nights, and it cost me 44 euros to stay there for 3 nights. And it's in the middle of Stown. It's a really good location. And it was just really nice, actually. I immediately got to know other people. The rooms were really comfortable, with like a whole curtain in front of your bed. Ik heb mijn bed uitgekozen. Nou, lekker afgesloten hier. And I love when a hostel has like a full curtain, because then you can sleep so good and you're not really woken up by other people messing around in the room in the mornings and stuff. So I really liked that place, and I immediately got to know other people, and I was like, oh, I can finally like chat again. And it was such a change of just environments and everything, and it felt really nice after a month of a different environment. What did I do there? I think I did a few tours with the hostel, because they always have hostel tours and stuff. Looking back, I'm not really happy that I did those hostel tours. I think one was snorkeling, and one was doing like a spice tour somewhere, and that was nice, and one was going to Prison Island with really big turtles. At the moment it really seemed really cool and stuff. Oh, big turtles, nice and touristy. But then my perception afterwards kind of changed, and I'm not really, I don't really agree with those big touristy things. That people just go to the animals and can live, like swim or be among the animals and just pet them. And I don't know if they really benefit from that. Like, of course they need money and stuff, but it's not really sustainable and very okay morally for my perspective. But I still went, and I did have a good time. But afterwards, when I could also swim with turtles or stuff, or dolphins, I didn't do it anymore, because morally it's not okay for me. So maybe I needed to experience that in order to change my perspective as well. But the snorkeling, yeah, it was beautiful. Oh my god, my back got so burnt, it was not even normal anymore. And after the day after, I went to Nungwi, and Nungwi is famous for the most beautiful beaches in Zanzibar. I don't know, I forget, but Nungwi is apparently the thing to go to if you want to see a beautiful beach. And in Nungwi is also once a month, yeah, I think once a month, the full moon party, which you also have in Thailand, which is really big, a really big party, I've heard. So I was like, yeah, I want to be in Nungwi for that party. And got to know a girl there, and we became friends, and we went to the party together. And it was nice, but it was not what I expected. And also it was an anniversary, so this really big famous Tanzanian artist arrived and performed, but I didn't know any of his music, so all of the local people were really going wild and crazy, and I was like, yeah, I don't really know this music.
Yeah! Yeah!
So maybe my expectations were a little bit too high, but I still had fun, and the sunset, it was not necessarily in Nungwi, it was a little bit on the side. I will put it here. But it was really close to Nungwi. And in Nungwi, I stayed in Makofi Guest House, and it was so beautiful. I did pay quite a lot. I think for 4 nights I paid 88 euros for a dorm. But it was the only hostel, it wasn't a guest house, but it was the only cheap accommodation there. But it was so beautiful, and it was nice in the sand, and nice hanging chairs, and yeah, it was really nice. But because I got so burned during the snorkeling, it was actually good that I stayed for 4 nights there, because I almost couldn't do anything. I just had to lay on my belly because I was in such pain in my back. Even the last night, or the second to last night, when I went to the full moon party, it was very painful to even wear my crossbody bag. So yeah, note to self, snorkeling, wear sunscreen. Ecological sunscreen, because apparently also sunscreen is not really good for the coral, I've heard. So maybe I should look into that for my next travels. I went to Nungwi, and in Nungwi actually I did one boat trip. And what did we do again? Oh, I think it was also, oh yeah, it was the second time snorkeling, but this time I wore a shirt. That's what I'm going to do from now on, wear a shirt. So I was really looking silly with my shirt on and snorkeling, but I didn't care because my back was feeling way better because of that. And on this boat tour, I met amazing people from Abu Dhabi. And we stayed in contact, and then they were going to Paje the same day as I was supposed to go to Paje, and I didn't really know how to do it with public transport. They do have these little buses where you can go on, but they take quite a lot of time, and it was really warm in Zanzibar, so I needed to walk a lot to get there, which usually is not a problem. But then they messaged me and they were like, hey, and we're going to Paje as well, the 4 or 5 of them, the 4 of them, and you can also join us. We can pick you up by taxi, and then we'll go to Paje together. Coincidentally. And then we were also, like, I was sitting in a hostel and they were in the hotel next to us, so it was absolutely perfect. And then I went to Paje with taxi, but you can also take public transport. And in Paje I had the best hostel in my life, I feel like. It was called Drifters, and I stayed for 4 nights. I paid 30 euros, but in the end I stayed for 14 nights or something for 2 weeks, because I had such a good time there and I was just living my life. And I don't know how much I paid, because then I didn't pay online anymore. I just paid by the bar. And I had a dorm, and every night there were bonfires on the beach with seats around them, and people were playing music. The hostel is right on the beach, like, yeah, you go out of your dorm and you're on the beach. And they had a swimming pool, and they had dinners every night. I think it was €4 for every night, and then all of the guests could pay, and all sitting around the table and eating dinner, and also vegetarian possibilities. Oh, and my time there was amazing. And people who go to Zanzibar really are either Team Nungwi or Team Paje, but I'm definitely Team Paje because I thought it was way beautiful there, way more beautiful. You can also do a lot of windsurfing on Paje, and usually with people who windsurf, like because there are so many windsurfers, some people don't really see the beauty anymore. But when I was there, yeah, it was not super busy with windsurfing. And in Nungwi, it was just the people on the beach were kind of really like coming to you the whole time and trying to sell you things. That's really big in Zanzibar. Like the whole time people are approaching you to sell things, and not in a nice way, I feel like. So, and if you just say go, they don't go, so be prepared for that. But in Paje it was slightly better, and in Paje you could party every night. Like on the row of the beach, every night there was a party somewhere. I had such a good time, and I met a friend there, and her best friend came, and those 4 guys from Abu Dhabi were next doors, and they met each other, and we partied. And then we also had a night, I think we all jumped in the pool in the middle of the night, in their pool, and then we had an after party in their room, and just really fun. And then I met other people in the hostel, and with this girl that I met, we decided that we wanted to travel together to South Africa. So my plan of going to Malawi was not going through anymore, but we decided to go to South Africa together. So we were chilling on the beach, and we booked our flight tickets to Johannesburg, because it was kind of time, because I stayed 2 weeks there in Paje. I also was like 4 nights or something in Nungwi and a few nights in Stown, and then I had to get back to Stown. So after 2 weeks I was like, yeah, I've been doing nothing here, literally nothing. We were just chilling on the beach, relaxing, partying, having fun. I rented for 2 days a scooter so I could drive around the island a little bit. That's mostly what I've done, just eating and chilling, and yeah. But we had a good time. So then we went to Stown, and we went to the Lost and Found Zanzibar again for 1 night. In Stown you can really see the sunset, really beautiful. And also in Nungwi. So we watched, I think we stayed 2 nights actually. Yeah, I think we stayed 2 nights in Stown before our flight went.
No, in Britain.
So we had dinner in a few places, and from that point on I just booked with the hostel itself, because I learned that if you pay through booking.com or Hostelworld, they subtract a fee from the total amount. So if you book with the hostel itself, they end up with more money in the end. So from that point on I was like, if I can, and it doesn't change that much pricing wise, I will just book with the hostel itself, because then they earn more money instead of like a second person grabbing a part of the amount from them. So that's when I started paying really, or at the counter, or even calling, or on the website. So I stayed there again, and we had fun, and we met up with a few people from Paje, and then we went to South Africa. We took a flight to Kenya, and then yeah, it was a big mess. We were supposed to sleep on the airport, but then the flight got changed to before the first flight would arrive. And then, yeah, it was a big mess, but then in the end everything worked out, and we arrived in South Africa quite late, I think 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. or something like that. So I also arranged a transfer beforehand, which I can really recommend only if you arrive very late in a country and you don't know how it is arranged with public transport. Just message the hostel and say, is there a possibility of getting a transfer from the airport? And usually it's way cheaper than getting a taxi at the airport. So that's what I've done. But South Africa will be a whole new video. And then from South Africa I also went to Namibia, which will also be a new video. So that was my trip in Zanzibar. And looking back to Zanzibar, how did I feel? What are my tips and my tops? Public transport you can take, but if you find other people, it's a little bit more expensive, but you can share the taxi cost. But there is public transport, you just have to ask the hostel. A big recommendation is going to Paje. Number one place, Zanzibar. I had the best time. And then go to Drifters, which is absolutely amazing. I still follow them on Instagram, and every time when I look to their photos, I'm like, I miss it so much. It's like really low key, but they're also chilling and drinking a lot, and just really a nice atmosphere. Just like really nice. It doesn't matter what you're doing. And the thing is, I'm not a beach person at all. I don't like the beach. I don't like the sun. I don't like sun, laying in the sun. I don't like doing nothing. And the fact that I stayed there for 2 weeks really means a lot. I feel like, because that was everything. Laying in the sun, but I just laid in the shadow. Not doing anything, with the sand at the beach. And it was just beautiful. So, especially Drifters and Paje is a really big recommendation. I can also recommend Makofi to stay there. It was really beautiful. It's a little bit expensive, but I think you should check out Nungwi and see which team you are. And for the rest, I don't think Zanzibar has many different spots you really need to visit, but I rented a scooter and then you can drive around a part of the island, and that was really nice. So I can also definitely recommend just doing that for a few days. Just my whole experience in Zanzibar was really good, and I think because especially I came from the mainland, which had a really huge impact on me because it was so different. I think Zanzibar was more, I don't know, it was more of my style of traveling. And also I said it a few times, and I explained it a little bit in a previous video, but with the workaway there were some uncomfortable comments made by the owners of the workaway, and it's just a cultural thing. Like for them it's really normal to perceive a younger woman as someone they can really get something with, and for us it's not normal. So I did mention that to them, like, you shouldn't say these things anymore, because it made me feel really comfortable, and it's not nice, and you shouldn't do that, because if you do this in Europe you wouldn't get away with it. So I think for me a really big thing that I learned in Zanzibar, the mainland, is to really say what's on my heart instead of being afraid to hurt their feelings. And also what happened with the tricking, it really had an impact on me, and I learned a lot from that. So just in the mainland, my experiences were not as good as I just had in Zanzibar, and that I think made the big difference. But I again learned a lot in the mainland about the way they were doing it. Just Zanzibar was a little bit more my thing, even though I don't like beaches. It was a really good experience. And in the next video you will see me talking about South Africa. Please, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments, because I was really looking for information before I went on this travel by myself, and I couldn't really find a lot. So I really want to help every traveler who's going there, either with friends or by themselves. What I've done as a female traveler, as a male traveler, as a young girl, as an older woman, boy, man, doesn't matter. Yeah, just if you have questions, please drop them down in the comments, and like this video if you liked it, and I hope to see you in the next video to South Africa, because that was also a really cool experience where I stayed for like 3 months. So I will see you there, and thank you for watching.